Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live, and you'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV channel 249 and 50. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate, leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available also on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also now 2016 forward TVs. Now on Candid Frank Live, Aaron William Freeland. Aaron, how you doing?
Doing well, Frank. How are you?
So big news is they caught the shooter. At least they think they caught the shooter. At least they're telling us they caught the shooter that shot the insurance CEO in New York City. And well, it's going to be interesting. His name, he's identified. He's a person of interest, which is a way of saying he isn't being charged yet because they're saying he's a person of interest. That means he hasn't been charged yet, which is weird. But I
Well,
guess that's the way it goes.
yes. I mean, basically, at this point, they're questioning someone who they believe to have been the individual that they are currently seeking. So, we'll obviously we'll have more for information on that as it becomes available.
Absolutely. And apparently he has a media presence, especially on Facebook.
Not to mention on Twitter, where apparently there are a lot of accounts that look like his that have been gaining phenomenal amounts of followers in the past couple of hours, but
Yeah.
they're not even sure if it's the right account. So.
Yeah. So he's somebody that I don't know. Well, I'm gonna look into it and see what this guy posts, but I don't know if they're leaving. Sometimes they remove a person's profile in this situation so people can't check it out. But I'd be interested to know what kind of person he is. But for now, let's stick to what we're here to do, and what we're here to do is to talk about many things, but mostly about sports. And we'll start with the Canadian Football League and the Elks.
So the Elks have re-signed Trey Ford. He's agreed to terms on an extension through the 2027 season. Ford was scheduled to become a free agent in February and was actually the number one ranked player on the CFL.ca's top 30 pending free agent list. So Elks GM Ed Hervey said that today marks the beginning of Trey Ford's opportunity to take the reins as the starting quarterback of this franchise. He's expressed the desire to compete for this opportunity since his arrival in Edmonton and will be given the chance to do so for the green and gold. The 26-year-old pivot has spent the last 3 seasons with the Elks after being drafted by the club in the first round, 8th overall in the 2022 CFL draft. He made 4 starts with the green and gold in 2024, finishing the season with a 3-1 record as a starter. So that's a good sign, a hopeful sign for the future.
Absolutely, it is. And the Riders signed Trevor Harris to a 1-year extension.
Yeah, this is actually good news. So he's got a 1-year contract extension and was again scheduled to become a free agent in February and was actually number 6 on CFL.ca's top 30 pending free agents. He rejoins the Riders coming off a strong 2024 season that saw him named the West Division's all CFL quarterback. He completed 72.4% of his passes, setting a franchise single season record for accuracy for 3,264 yards and 20 touchdowns, despite missing 6 games with a knee injury. So this is a very good sign for him. He spent the 2022 season and portions of the 21 season with the Montreal Alouettes after being traded by the Elks. He played 4 games after the trade, tallying 703 yards and 8 touchdowns before an incredible 2022 season, throwing for over 4,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. So glad to see he's finding himself a home.
Lions bring back American wide receiver Jared Bernhardt.
Yeah, I don't think this was a surprise to anyone. He signed in September as part of the NFL's practice roster expansion. He attended the 2022 training camp with the Atlanta Falcons and caught a game-winning touchdown in preseason action in Detroit. He won the Tewaaraton Award actually in his 5th season as the nation's top lacrosse player, and now here he is, being picked up with the BC Lions. So that's great news.
Absolutely. The Bombers signed 4 players, including national defensive lineman Colin Cornelson.
Yeah, so they've signed Cornelson as well as American offensive lineman Chris Walker. and American receiver Jalen Hall. Walker is re-signing with the Bombers after being on the practice roster since early October. Cornelson from the University of Manitoba returns to the Bombers for the 25 season after spending the last 6 with the University of Manitoba. He was selected by the Bombers in the 5th round, 44th overall in the 23 CFL draft. So that's good news.
Absolutely. The Alouettes extend global punters Joseph Zima as Sam Clark.
So I'm not really sure if there were any real deficiencies in this part of Montreal's game. You've probably seen a few more games than I did over the course of this season for the Owls, Frank. But yeah, Joseph Zima, he's with an extension through the end of 2026, and Sam Clark has been signed for the next 3 seasons. So it looks like they're starting to try to cement the kicking core. So that's good for them. I know that Zima had adapted quickly to the CFL. As for Sam, he's made tremendous progress over the course of the past year and a bit, while being part of their developmental team. The hope is that they'll both continue to improve. So that's a positive sign.
Let's go to the National Hockey League, and we'll go with the Montreal Canadiens to begin. They have been making mistakes, and they're continuing to make mistakes, which lead to, I'm assuming, losses.
Yeah, it hasn't really been going well for them. Let's be honest. The first period was fantastic. That was a sight to see. On both sides of the puck, they kept the Caps back on their heels. Um, Washington unfortunately rattled off 4 unanswered goals and got the 4-2 win, denying the Canadians their first 3-game win streak of the NHL season. Nick Suzuki said that there were a couple of plays that they wanted back at the start of the third. They had a great start. Their overall game was really tight, but unfortunately they got dunked on. So
Absolutely. Well, Montreal, and then you have the Sens. But they decide to play well, but they're not playing well enough. And,
no, I look. They outshot the Islanders 31-13, but they still managed to lose somehow 4-2. You know, Sorokin was the difference. He made 29 saves. Anders Lee had a goal and assist for New York, while Tim Stutzla sent up Ottawa goals, which came from Adam Gaudette and Josh Norris. When you allow 4 goals on 13 shots, I think there are some serious issues that need to be addressed here. And I'm not sure if there's an easy goal. You know, I don't think there's an easy solution to this one.
no, not
I'm
easy.
not sure where Ottawa's going to go from here, but something definitely ain't working.
Well, they got an owner that wants to win. They've got a team with some pretty talented players, and they just can't seem to put it together. They changed coaches. That hasn't seemed to help either. So, I don't know what other levers you have to pull other than patience.
And I'm not sure how much longer the fans are going to be around for that if it keeps continuing. I mean,
Absolutely. Okay, here are the Flames, and Hintz begins third period goal barrage as Stars beat the Flames 6-2, who were doing really well early in the season, and now they're really struggling.
Yeah, the things have not been going well. Rupe Hintz scored the first in a 4-goal third period for Dallas, including 2 from Thomas Harley. Hintz tipped the puck just past Dustin Wolf's right skate on a give and go with Essa Lindell at 5:13. Jason Robertson had a goal and an assist, while Wyatt Johnson and Sam Steele also scored for Dallas. They're just beginning a season-long 6-game homestand. Ottinger had 29 saves to remain perfect in 10 games this season at American Airlines Center. It's his 14th overall win, which puts him second amongst NHL goaltenders. Calgary got goals from Jonathan Huberdeau and Connor Zary, so that's some comfort. Wolf stops 22 shots, but he has 3 consecutive regulation losses after earning points in 6 straight games. So this is a difficult bump. They're 0-5-3 in their last 8 games. They allowed their 4th shorthanded goal of the season. Robertson managed to end an 8-game goalless streak, ranked next to last in home power play at 11.1% going in. The Stars went 0-4, which is and they still managed to pull off the win. I'm not sure how Calgary managed to goof it that badly.
It is what it is. The Oilers, McDavid and Skinner, who's opting to be the starting goaltender for the Canadian team in their lovely NHL tournament, helped the Oilers beat the Blues 4-2.
Yeah, Connor had a goal and an assist, and Draisaitl had 2 assists as the Edmonton Oilers won their second game in a row. Corey Perry, Zach Hyman, and Troy Sketcher also scored for the Oilers, who are now 15-10-2, and have won 5 of their last 6 games. Dylan Holloway and Jake Neighbors responded for the Blues, who had a 2-game winning streak halted and suffered their first regulation loss under Jim Montgomery, dropping to 4-1-1 in his 6-game tenure so far. Um, Philip Broberg and Holloway were both poached away from the Oilers as restricted free agent signings in the offseason this year. They were unable to match the Oilers. Sorry, were unable to match the offer sheets. Both have already had career high campaigns in goals and assists and points for the Blues. Broberg has actually come into the contest with 12 points in just 15 games, and Holloway had 16 points. Both were also tied for the team lead at +7. So there's a couple Oilers that are making good once they've left the team, unfortunately for the Oilers.
Well, they were down the depth chart a little bit. They were due to climb up, but the Oilers didn't have the upper space to bring them in, and that's the price you pay. I mean, is that a good news thing that you have a lot of talent? I don't know. The Canucks can't slow down Tampa, whose power play is really starting to jam it up.
Yeah, on the Vancouver side of it, Quinn Hughes and Kiefer Sherwood found the back of the net. Kevin Lankinen made 28 saves. Seelovs has been demoted to the Abbotsford Canucks. One of the main reasons that Vancouver actually lost this game was the penalty kill. The Lightning went 2 for 4, including the game winner with the man advantage, and finished the game with 11 shots on net during their 4 power plays. Now, while Vancouver's penalty kill has been strong as of late, they really struggled in this game as they were unable to get sticks in passing and shooting lanes. So it's one of those things that they know what they have to work on. So
let's go over to the Maple Leafs, and former Leaf Bunting scores decisive goal, power play goal. Penguins beat the Leafs 5-2.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's the leafiest of leafy things that could possibly leaf. And that's former players on a team run by their former general manager coming back to bite them. But he got a third period power play goal that gave Pittsburgh the lead for good in a 5-2 win on Saturday night. Ricard Raquel also scored a power play goal, while Brian Rust had a goal and assist for Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby finished with an assist and tied Gordie Howe for 5th most assists with one franchise in league history, which is good. Nylander scored a power play goal, while Mitch Marner got his 10th of the season and added an assist. Marner's had points in 8 straight road games, has scored 9 goals, and has 31 points in his last 20 games. Joseph Woll made 24 saves, but his win streak has unfortunately come to an end.
Yeah, absolutely. The Leafs are hoping the best after Murray injury on Marlies.
Yeah, during the first period of the game against the Laval Rockets on Saturday, he unfortunately left with an injury. He stopped a point shot from Logan Mailloux. Not even a minute later, in a TV timeout, he went to the Marlies dressing room, and Dennis Hildeby came in relief. Unfortunately, that didn't help. Toronto fell to Laval 5-4 on an afternoon where Alex Steeves broke the club's franchise points record. Hildeby stopped 19 of 23 shots after coming in for Murray with 4:32 left in the opening frame. There was unfortunately no further update today, but he tweaked something and had to come out of the game. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious, they're saying. So,
Staying with the Leafs. Oh, sorry, Aaron.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were. Never mind. Staying with the Leafs. Do you think it's time to trade Austin Matthews? He's a bad influence on this team.
Look, I don't know how else to put this for all the diehard Leafs fans out there, but they played magnificently when he wasn't in the lineup, and they played like ass since he's come back. And I'm not sure if it's because they're relying on running everything through him, but it definitely seems to me that there's a bit of an issue when he's in the lineup.
Well, they brought Pacioretty came in at the same time. They've added a few players, and ironically, one of the excuses could be, which is ironic, very ironic, is that, well, now these new players that are coming in need to adjust to being in the lineup. But I think probably it's more or less what you were saying on one hand, that they're depending on him to produce, and he's not, and what you're seeing is the cause and effect of the team not playing well. But it also speaks to teamwork, and it speaks to how important I'm not saying stars are not important, but team play and a commitment to win as a team is important. And when you the shadow that Austin Matthews casts on this team is long, long and thick. And
It's one of those things where you have to absolutely have to find a way to work around it. I'm glad that Pacioretty is back in the lineup. However, I'm not so happy. I'm not so happy about the fact that he got two roughing penalties against Chris Letang, one at 5:33 in the second and one at 7:45. I, I mean, you got to be able to at least take
discipline,
him off the ice with you.
discipline,
Yeah,
discipline, discipline, discipline. The other thing is that I think is the reason why the Leafs are having trouble is that their defensive lineup is all with Jacob McCabe's injury.
mm,
Their defensive tandems have been played with, and not in a good way. There's some experimenting going on, and you have defensemen moving to try and figure out new combinations. I think that's a problem as well. And while it may not be obvious or something you'd think, but the defense on this Leaf team, the way they play, right? It's not only that they play well defensively. The reason they play well defensively is the way they discharge the puck quickly and get out of their zone and don't get caught in those minute half, maybe even as much as 2 minutes in their end zone trying to defend, like chasing their tail almost, right? That could be part of it as well. But again, the captain comes back and the team can't win. That's something I don't think any of us can ignore, and it raises, curiosities. Really, there's no answer to be found. I don't think, Aaron, that's definitive in the sense of, are they a better team with Matthews or without?
yeah, and honestly, with McCabe out, you have now altered pairs back there. You've got OEL and Tanev, you've got Riley and Philippe Myers, you've got Simone Benoit and Connor Timmins. Nothing against these guys; they are far better players than I will ever be. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, this team needs a presence like Jake McCabe back there.
Well, McCabe and Tanev were pretty much two of the best, well, the best pair in being a shutdown defense pair. And if you have a shutdown defense pair of a great reputation and one of the best in the league, 5 is not the number the other team gets to.
No, no, they really don't. And I can appreciate what they're trying to do with the depleted lineup. And again, you're looking at Kampf is out, Yarncrook is out, Domi's out, McMahon is out, McCabe is out. I don't know, man. I'm not sure what there's left for them to do.
I think what we're seeing is that two things: the lack of depth at defense and the good depth they have at forward. They don't have I don't think it's equal. I think their offensive depth is much stronger than their defensive depth. And this situation, I think, exemplifies it. When you can cover one of the best players in the National Hockey League going out, and other experienced forwards, and you bring in young guys, and these young guys are able to carry the load, that isn't happening on the defense core. As much as we can blame everybody for defensive lapses, it's a community effort, right? But still, a defense like a goaltender can make that defensive play that alters that bad play that they're introduced to, right? Goaltenders
Yeah.
do the same thing. But if the defenders aren't capable of doing what their job entails, and that is defending, then this is what happens. You get 5 goals against, and you don't win too many games allowing the opposition to score 5, even though 2 were an empty net. We got to keep that in mind. This game was a 3-2 game that became a 5-2 game because of empty net goals.
Yeah, no, you can't expect your goalies to be superhuman. And unfortunately, I think we're falling into that territory again. You get certain players back, you bring certain players back into the lineup, the team starts to function differently. So, there are deficiencies that are unfortunately going to get exposed, and the Maple Leafs kind of got exposed in this one.
Yep. Well, Syria, after decades of being run by family, the family's out, and they're right now in Russia, uh, hiding from what the Syrian people might consider justice.
Yeah, and Trudeau is right in that this marks a new chapter for Syria. The thing that we really need to be careful of here is what the incoming government is going to be like. Are we simply trading one bad individual for a group?
Have we
Or
ever seen that before?
I couldn't say. But it is something to be cautious of. But there is a note of hope there for the Syrian people. So take that with a grain of salt.
If we, you know, it's the thing of imposition of our way of life. I hope that's not what they're doing. We've done that too many times. When I say we, the collective we, Canada, the United States, and others who have made the mistake of thinking that we can take the way we live, bring it there, and have them live it. There's a history involved in the life that we have here in North America. I'll specifically talk about North America, and I think I can extend it to the European countries that are in NATO. There's a way of life that we have that has history, because if Canada, I'm going to put it this way, Aaron, very simply, if Canada and the United States were brand new countries, like right now at this moment in time, they wouldn't last another year.
No,
Because the only thing that's holding us together in America and in Canada is the history and the belief in the history that democracy works for everybody. We know it doesn't. We keep getting reminded of that. So if we try exporting this version of democracy, it's not going to work anywhere. So all we can hope for is, like you said, and I think you intimated, the people in charge in Syria are serious about being there for the people of Syria, that they're doing something for the people of Syria.
Speaking of democracy, one last thought before we go here, Frank. Okay. The Canadian Liberal government survived the Conservatives' third attempt at a no confidence vote this afternoon. So they are still in power. So it does appear that democracy does, at least for now, appear to be working.
It's on life support, but okay, I'll take your word for it.
But there you have it.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Frank.
He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm saying it half with tongue in cheek, by the way. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it here, read it, download it, live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.